Hello everyone, I hope everyone's having a great summer. Today I'm here with two of my friends.
I'm Abby, I'm a rising sophomore and I go to Wake Christian Academy.
My name is Jacob Zemsky. I am a graduate at Wake Christian Academy and I'm going to Southeastern Biblical Theological Seminary in the fall.
It's great to have you guys here today. Thank you so much for coming. So we're going to kick off with the first question, which is, what does substance abuse mean to you and why do you think it's important to talk about it?
The definition I searched up was it's the indulgence or it's the dependence on something that can be abused, such as like the main ones you hear are like drugs and alcohol. And the main part of that question is that it's the dependence. And like a lot of people when you meet them, or if they have a problem, they don't turn to other people, they turn to like other things as a distraction from what they're going through and the pain that they're going through.
And I think an important detail to that is that anything can be abused. For example, looking at a psychological disorder, bulimia is the excessive eating of a certain food to the point where you just end up throwing it up just so you can eat it again. Or even some depressive disorders, some symptoms of that is just the excessive sleeping to the point where it's unhealthy to you and it's just basically you're addicted to sleeping. Another could be looking at social media for a very long time, just doom scrolling can become an addiction. It can literally come from anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, substance abuse is definitely an important topic to talk about. So we're going to move on to the next question, which is, do you feel that substance abuse is a concern among teens and young adults in your community, and why or why not?
I feel like it is because a lot of people, instead of turning for help to other people like in authority to you, they turn to, oh, I want to keep this all to myself. I don't want to like harm other people and bring them in this basically drama with me. So they like, as an escape and a runaway, they just do drugs and alcohol to like numb the pain, and so that others don't find out, they just keep it all to themselves. And honestly, it just chips away and it keeps hurting you. There's no escape unless you get help.
I think to add on to what she said, people tend to see drugs and alcohol and all the other things as a method of escape and a way of comfort. They find it as a source of temporary comfort, a distraction from everything. And though while it is very effective to doing that, in the long run, it's very detrimental.
Yeah, I totally agree as well. I think also like teens and young adults also in today's world are getting more and more influenced through social media platforms and all the other apps. But now we're going to move on to our next question, which is, have you ever learned about substance abuse in school? And if so, what stood out the most to you?
Our school hasn't really taught that, unfortunately, but I think he can add up more to that.
Yes, our school did not really cover it, though we do have people there that unfortunately do deal with that. Just because we're a Christian school doesn't mean we don't have people with that, though we learn a lot from them, unfortunately.
Yeah. We also, in our school, we learn about stuff relating, like getting into substance abuse, but not, oh, this is a topic, substance abuse, and this is like a list of things of what it can do and everything. But I know in our school we learned about human trafficking, so that's just something that's happened in my school. So the next question is, where do you think most young people get their information about drugs and alcohol from?
Personally, I think if we're going to stay on the topic for drugs and alcohol, drugs normally is from a friend of a friend, and word spreads really fast, or it could be from like that friend saying, hey, I have this buyer, blah, 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 and getting it from them. And then alcohol, sadly, I feel like a lot of kids can get it from their parents and like they won't even notice. Or they can make like a fake ID and get alcohol and the people won't even realize.
Looking at other addictive substances, they can just arise on their own. But I think thing that we should talk about is like what we should figure out about addictive substances. I fortunately had my mom explaining to me at a very young age, so I learned what not to do. I learned healthy ways of dealing with addictive substances. Social media, you have like limited time on it. It's not bad to look at a couple videos here and there, but just have self-control on that.
Yeah, I think social media as well is a big factor into how people can get their information about drugs or alcohol and any other substance.
I think it's a good source of like entertainment, but I think the important part here is not to control your life.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next question is, what are some reasons you think that teens might start using substances like drugs or alcohol?
As we repeated earlier, I think they just see it as a way of escape from the reality that they're in right now. Some people in my grade, the reasons they started using specifically drugs and alcohol was one of my friends recently dealt with a breakup, and he went to that as a sort of escape from that, and now he just takes it repeatedly to avoid the reality that she no longer loves him.
Yeah, as he mentioned earlier, he said it could be used as an escape. And I feel one of the main parts is because you can get bullied in school or made fun of. And if you don't tell others about it and a teacher or somebody in authority doesn't stop it, it can just keep happening and it can keep getting worse. But I feel like a main thing is like getting bullied or made fun of. It mentally impacts a person so much if they keep it like inside and don't get help from it.
Yeah, I think also another reason is sometimes kids' parents might take drugs or alcohol. Alcohol, as long as you have it in limits, is okay.
No, that's right. But these things in themselves are not inherently evil or wrong to do. Drinking alcohol is not bad. In fact, there are medical uses of certain drugs like marijuana or even fentanyl. I know there's some medical uses for that. I have friends in EMS. They tell me about that sometimes. But these things are not inherently in themselves bad. The problem is when we use it in an excessive amount and let that control our lives.
Yeah, I think if a kid's parent might overdrink, then the kid might start to get influenced by their parents as well and start to do it.
Yeah.
So the next question is, in your opinion, how does peer pressure influence decisions around trying drugs or alcohol?
Fortunately, from my experience with my friends, I personally would never do drugs or have alcohol or be peer pressured into doing that because it's like a mindset almost. That's not right. You should stay away from that. And it's really not worth it. I think more in the end, it hurts you more than you realize. And it's honestly the pain.
I don't really have much to add on to that.
Yeah, I think someone can get like pressured or forced into doing these substances. So that's definitely a big cause. So the next question is, do you think that mental health and stress are connected to substance use in teens? And if so, how?
Oh, absolutely. There are countless mental disorders caused by addictive substances. Can't really name many off the top of my head, but I took a psych class over this past year and it was just countless how many there are.
Yeah. I also agree. It affects you a lot if you do drugs and alcohol. And also, I was looking at some of the things that happen when you excessively drink. You can get liver disease, heart disease. You can get so many types of diseases and sicknesses. And you're doing that to yourself as an escape. So, as I said earlier, and as he pointed out, it's literally hurting you more than you realize. And it's worse than the pain that you're going through because you could literally die from it.
Not only that, one of the major problems of addictive substances is the concept of withdrawal. If you don't repeatedly take whatever substance that you're addicted to, you're just going to feel symptoms of depression, anxiety, many other things.
Yeah, I think mental health is definitely one of the big causes into someone doing all of these substances. Okay, so the next question is, what advice or message would you give to other students around the world about staying informed?
I'd say don't do it, and it's really not worth it, and it's more of a pain than an escape. You may think it's gonna help you and that it's gonna go away if you do this, but then you're just gonna keep going back to it and it's gonna get worse and the addiction's gonna get worse, and it can drive you to do further things that you shouldn't be doing. And they make rehabs for people that go through that, and you can be clean for blah blah blah, but if you remember how it made you feel and you go back to that pain, you're basically just restarting everything that you just fixed, and it's just gonna get worse.
My personal piece of advice, if you haven't dealt with any of these concepts of addiction or even drinking alcohol, I would firstly know yourself. Know that, me personally, I'm not going to ever drink alcohol because I would just ignore the substances and, oh, I like the taste of this, I'm going to drink this repeatedly. And I know that I lack the self-control and therefore I'm not going to go near it. However, if you are dealing with addiction or any certain substances, that go find someone for help. It is important that you have someone else to go through this pain. You do not want to deal with it alone, and that's how it gets only worse.
Yeah, I think your point on like just not doing it at all is definitely some big advice. And getting help from someone you're really close to is also great. Yeah, that was the last question. So thank you guys for coming here today. It means a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from seeing your responses. So just thank you again, and it was great to have you. Bye.
Bye.